everyone and welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a PIP video. I'm going to be talking about the recent changes to PIP, but also talking about my PIP review because I have got to fill out my PIP review form, and I thought we could do that together, discussing the questions and discussing some generalised points that I'm going to be making on my PIP form, because I'm not here to give you exact words as to what to put on your PIP form, but questions to ask yourself. I did make a couple of other videos and I will leave them all in the description box down below so you can see all the different types of videos that I've made on this topic, and I think you'll find them very helpful because I actually went through a whole list of the different questions you could ask yourself. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, I want to go through some of the questions that people may be having about the recent changes to PIP. So feel free to skip. I'll leave timestamps so you can skip if this is no longer relevant. But as far as I'm aware, and feel free to correct me in the comment section down below, but as far as I am aware, the PIP changes are that the government are currently looking at changing the PIP from a cash-based system, so where you get paid the money which you then will pay to other people or other services or other products to support your recovery and support your long-term health condition. Whereas they are now looking at turning this into a voucher-based system where you have to order things out of a catalogue, or you'll have to basically say to the government or say to the PIP-based system, I would like to buy this, and then they have to either approve it or deny it, and you have to give your reasons. I disagree with this wholeheartedly. I think the cash-based system makes it very easy for the PIP people, the DWP, to give the money out, and this can be met with like controversy and the good sort of side of things. But I think because PIP is such a hard benefit to actually get, I think that in the majority of cases it's being given to people who are eligible for the benefit. So in order to get my benefit, I had to go through the likes of the actual application. I had to do then an appeal, and that got rejected, and then I also had to go through a tribunal, and that was because a lot of claims for PIP are quite hard to get approved, and that's because they don't want to give out this benefit without, substantial evidence. And I get it, I do get it. So I think personally the PIP benefit should stay as a cash-based system, and this is just my opinion, so if you disagree, that's absolutely fine. We're all entitled to our own opinions and our own thoughts on this particular thing the government is trying to change or trying to amend or something like that. I understand the reasons why they're trying to do it. They think it's going to be a way to save money and all that sort of stuff, and I do get it. However, I do think that it will be very hard for them to control exactly like what someone's going to need, because there's so many different health conditions, but also for conditions that are mental health based or neurodivergent based, there are certain things that I may need for my autism, whereas another person with autism may not need that particular thing. Like for me, I recently bought a dishwasher, a little mini one, little tabletop dishwasher, and it has helped me immensely to keep on top of my cleaning. For another person with neurodivergency or another person with a mental health condition may not require a dishwasher, and a dishwasher would probably not be considered, under the government's basis, would not be considered an aid to help somebody who gets PIP. Having a cash-based system comes with its negatives, because it means that if people are receiving the wrong amount of benefit, or they're receiving too much or too little, they could be spending it on things that are not necessarily relating to their health condition, and there has to be a certain amount of trust there. So I do get why they're looking into a change. However, I do think that having PIP and having the benefit of PIP is very important to a lot of people within the UK, and I do feel that it is something that has to stay, because otherwise there'll be more uproar than it's worth. There'll be so much uproar if PIP is either dissolved or if PIP is changed in such a drastic way, such as going from a cash-based system to a voucher-based system. Now that that's all out of the way, and that's my thoughts, this is my opinion, and if anyone disagrees with that, that is absolutely fine. You're entitled to have your own opinions, and you're entitled to have your own voice on this matter. So please feel free to comment it if you want to voice your opinion. However, this is my opinion, and that is where I stand on the matter. So the next thing I'm going to be getting into is some general tips for if you're applying for PIP, if you've got your review for PIP. I'm going to be going through a little bit of advice when it comes to just everything, just in general, and then we're going to get into more like my PIP review, and we're going to fill the form out together. So the general advice I have is make sure you have a photocopier or you get your form photocopied. So this is my form. I'm going to cover up my details, but this is my form. All of this here is my form from the last time that I did PIP, and it is fully filled out. So everything that I wrote for the last questions when I last did PIP has been photocopied, and I know exactly what I wrote. This is important because when you go to the review process, like I'm about to do later in this video, it's important to know what you wrote last time, because then you'll be able to say there's no changes in terms of this, but there is changes in terms of that, or there's no changes in terms of this, but I require more support here, or I don't require this support, but I require this support. Like, it's important to know what you wrote because they'll have record of it. So if you don't mention specifically you do or don't require support in these certain areas, or you write something on your review form that is then contradictory to like what's on your original form, you may then get questions from them. And sometimes I forget things. The last time that I filled this out was in 2020. So it is very easy to forget exactly what you wrote. It doesn't mean that my condition has changed, and it doesn't mean that I falsified anything, because I did not falsify anything. Everything that I wrote on there was 100% true and to the point. Things change. I forget what I had for dinner last week, let alone what I wrote in 2020. So it's very important to keep a copy of your filled out form so that when you get to the review process, because you will, it's important to have it. My next bit of advice is that if you are filling out your PIP form for the first time, get in contact with an organisation such as the CAB or the Citizens Advice Bureau. I got in contact with them when I first filled out my form, and they were able to give me some pointers and some help in terms of how to fill it out for my specific health condition. Videos that I have made, which as I previously said, I will leave in the description box down below, are very good. Like, not just my video, but like other videos you may come across on the internet are great. However, they do not go into like details as to like if you've got this specific condition and for your specific set of circumstances. Whereas if you contact the Citizens Advice Bureau, they're able to ask you questions about your specific health condition and give you advice based on that, you know? Whereas videos on the internet might give you some sort of guidance, but they're not specific to your health condition. And the third final bit of generalized advice is any evidence you send them, photocopy it. Do not send them originals. They do actually say that when you've got the form, do not send them the originals, and write on the top of every single piece of paper, so not every single chunk, every single bit of paper, write your national insurance number and your name and your date of birth. Write everything on the top of every single piece of paper. So without further ado, let's get into my actual form. I'm going to go through what actually I received as part of the PIP review process, and then we're going to get into the actual form filling. When I'm filling out my bits, I will probably do a voiceover, or I will just speed it up so you can kind of just get the background footage, but I will be filling out on camera. So as part of my PIP review process, I was given, oh, don't drop it, Deanna. I was given the paid for return envelope, which has the window on it. So this is the form that they give you. They give you the envelope. It's already paid for. You don't need to worry about that. They then give you this section here. This first piece that I'm covering my address on is actually attached to the back section, but I've already taken the first bit off. So the first thing you need to do is you need to take off, I think it's 3 sheets of a letter that you get at the very, very front, and put that to one side. That is yours to keep. You do not need to send that back to them. The next thing you will get is you will get this very front piece here, which says about if you need it in another form, if you need it in British Sign Language, if you need it in Braille, if you need an audio translated version, then this is like the way that they give you information about it. Now, the first double spread, this is blank because I have not filled my name yet. The next double spread is writing your first name, your last name, your national insurance number, and writing your signature and stuff, and getting all of like your support down. So I will be skipping that and be doing that off camera because that is all personal information, and not that you can see it, but I will just be doing it because it's very boring. Right, the next bit, so I'm going to be skipping on to section 4, which is about your health condition or disability. So this is when I am going to grab out my trusty little pack that I had from last time, and I'm going to find the exact section of this. on this thing, which I think this is in the wrong order. So let me just sort this out and then I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I seem to have lost the first section between pages 5 and 13, or 5 and 12 technically. No, 5, 6 and 13. I seem to have lost it. So I'm going to have to find those at some point. This section is just like you have to put in like what you're prescribed anyway, like your medications you're prescribed, your health conditions, the approximate start date. So all of that I will also find in a little bit. Then I'm just going to go on to the daily living activities. Right, so these bits here is daily living activities. So they've split it up into 10 daily living activities and 2 mobility activities. So the first one is preparing food and cooking. So I will find that on here. That's managing treatments, which again I've lost. Apparently I've lost all the bits that I need. So I might have to go and grab those. Right, sorry, I had to go and find the last little bit because I sorted paperwork out the other day and I didn't realise that I had basically put it in 2 different places, which is not obviously the best. So I've got everything on here as to like the pages I said I was missing. I have now got them, so even better. Let's slot that in where it's meant to go and get started. So I have brought a little book to press on. And I did bring a pen. Here it is. My pen says your feelings are valid. So let's go ahead and get started. The first question is preparing food and cooking. So it basically says that this activity looks at how your health condition or disability affects how you prepare and cook a simple meal for one. If you choose not to cook or if you only use ready meals, please tell us how you manage if you did cook. So then it gives you some stuff about like peeling and chopping and give you some examples. So I am going to turn to the page that I'm going to turn to this page that I did. So this has slightly changed a little bit. So here it just says like, it says, can you manage this activity without any aids or help? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fill this section out for myself. But I'm just going to go ahead and just read the questions that are on it so you can have an idea. And then if I feel like I need to put any sort of voiceover on this, I will. And I'll put a few different points as to what you could say. So question 24 is, can you manage this activity without any aids or help? And that's a yes or a no. And for this, it basically, you've got to take into consideration whether you need like prompting, whether you need a perching stool. If you've got back pain like I have, you need to consider whether you need someone to make sure that you're getting the right nutritional intake, like you're actually portioning correctly. You need to consider whether you can do the right sort of like the eat well plate and stuff, whether you can give yourself enough vegetables, enough fruit, whether you struggle to eat things because of texture or taste, or whether you'd have to take supplements to kind of like get the right amount of nutritional intake. So then question 25 is, do you use an aid? And it gives you examples like perching stool, grabbers or adapted cutlery. Do you need prompting? Yes, no. And like, what does this person do for you and how often? Do you need help from another person? Yes or no. What help do you need and how often do you get it? And then it just says, please tell us why and when these needs began. So that one, it looks like that might all be for activity 1. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this out. And I will get back to you with activity 2 when I get round to it. Okay, so I have filled out my activity 1. I will need to add a few more bits of information because the boxes are not big enough, but I needed some refill paper. This is not refill paper, this is squared paper, so I cannot use that, but I will be getting some more paper to put into my claim. But I'm going to go through the whole form first, I think, or actually maybe not. Maybe I'll pause this, go and grab some more paper so I can actually fill out the whole entire thing. I am struggling though with my hand. My hand is really not dealing well with this, as in like it is like cramping and stuff. So it'll be a good excuse to go and get some paper, some refill paper, so that I can actually like write everything. Okay, I just grabbed my refill pad, which is a very old refill pad, but it will do. So I have written down quite a considerable amount in these boxes, considering the fact that they're not very big and they do not allow for very much. But I'm going to go ahead and take my own advice from the very first bit of this book and start off by writing my name and my national insurance number on the very top of this page in block capitals, because when they scan it all in, you have to like almost own this like bit of paper, which is, I find a bit annoying, having to like not own it, but like having to always write every single time. You have to write your name and your national insurance number on the top of every single piece of paper, which means you remember your national insurance number, I suppose. So the only thing that I needed to like write, so the next important thing when you're writing any information in addition to any of these boxes is to write like the thing, like I need to write more information for question 28. So the important thing is to write 28 in the margin or before you start writing, and then basically continue on from what you were saying. So I have written some stuff about my autism for the question 28, which was please tell us why and when these needs began. So I've done the why, but I haven't started with the when these needs began. So I need to basically write that although I was not diagnosed with autism until April, I believe it was, or was it May? I think it was May. I'm going to find that out because I've got my autism diagnostic letter right next to me. So I'll say, although I wasn't diagnosed with autism until this, I still had problems from X time, or I still had issues from X time. Because it's important to basically reiterate that. With PIP, one of the best things I've noticed is that you have to be talking to them as if they're dumb. And I know it's not an insult, it is just the best way that I've found to put it is to talk to them as if they are dumb. Talk to them as if you're having to explain every single point step by step in an A, B, C, D, E, F, G format. Do not assume that they know what C is because it makes sense in your head or it is logical. Do not assume that, because assuming leads to you not getting a claim, or assuming leads to them basically questioning it, which is fine, they can question, but just to skip all of that, write down everything in an A, B, C, D, E, F, G format. Do not skip any of the steps because it will only lead to negative consequences, negative impacts. So 28, as I said, I wrote down the why, and I'm going to put a bit more why, but I need to find out the exact date that I was diagnosed, because I know it was like last year, and like this is what I'm talking about with my memory. So let's have a little look, because I've got my letters here. So this is the referral. 10th of April, there you go. 10th of April, I was diagnosed with autism. So I'm going to write that all down now. So I'll be right back. After I've done this, I'll be right back and we'll move on to activity number 2. Right, so I have written down the date that they started. I said I was not diagnosed with autism until April 24, but the struggles in this particular one became apparent from X date. I'm obviously not going to give you all the information because I'm just trying to give you prompts and help with your particular claim if you're watching this for that reason. I do not want to obviously give out all my information. I am very forthcoming with information on my channel, but I do like to keep a certain amount of things private. Let's go ahead and move on to activity 2, which is eating and drinking. And some of the things like, I've naturally, just realised this, I have naturally written down some of the issues with eating and drinking in the preparing food and cooking, but we'll have to then redo it in this particular thing. So, and there is actually a question that says, do you need prompting on activity 2 and do you need prompting on activity 1? So that is confusing. I'm going to just fill out the rest of my activity. Can you manage this activity safely and without difficulty? So this actually goes into saying, like, cutting your food into pieces, putting food in your mouth, chewing and swallowing. So I'm just going to have a look and see what I put on my last form. So eating and drinking, this last one, so when I first did the claim, it said, did you need to use an aid or appliance to eat or drink? Mine, I put yes, and I'm going to read why I put that. Because aid or appliance, the aid could be somebody else. So even though the only thing it gives you on the last form is about weighted cups and stuff, I do require an aid which is somebody else. So can you manage like this difficulty without any difficulty? So no. So eating and drinking for me is more of a prompting thing because I have a claim mainly based on my autism and my mental health diagnosis. Sorry, I am very tired today and it is not showing very well. I am, however, trying to film a lot because I don't get a chance to film very often. So trying to film so you guys have some uploads. Talking about uploads, if you are interested in health and lifestyle content, my health content, including my mental health stuff and my neurodivergency and all that sort of stuff, is on this channel. And I do actually have a new channel. I have split up my content to help the algorithm to push me out. I am really struggling when it comes to having people being able to find me, getting the views, getting monetized, and also trying to make this my career, which is my goal in life. So if you do want to see my other side of content, which is my lifestyle, my vlogs, my hauls, all that sort of stuff, then please head over to my other channel. I will leave it linked on the iCard and I will leave it in the description box down below. It's called Deanna's Diary. And you may also know this channel has now changed from Deanna Louise, the name of it, from Deanna Louise to Navigating Life with Deanna. I just felt that the two channels, because I was doing two like groups of content, I really wanted to split them up to help the algorithm, and that's literally the only reason. So rather than having two uploads on this channel, two uploads a week on this channel, there is one upload on this channel and one upload on the other channel. So I will see you on both channels if it's something you enjoy. If not, then please stay subscribed to this channel for the health and the sort of wellness category, which like neurodivergency, that sort of things. I may do some vlogs here, but they will be like burnt out neurodivergent vlogs or like how I manage life as a neurodivergent female, like that sort of thing. Whereas the other channel is going to be like travel, lifestyle, hauls, that sort of thing. So yeah, there's going to be different types of content on different channels. So let's get back to this because I thought I'd want to mention that though, because some people may have questions as to where all of the vlogs have gone and where all of the like hauls have gone. There is still some really old ones on this channel and I'm just leaving it and starting from like this year's content. I've moved some of the hauls over already. So yeah, just stay tuned. So as I said, this particular activity is about eating and drinking. So the first activity is about the preparation of it and the realizing you need to eat and do you need prompting or that sort of stuff. This second one is eating and drinking, so the actual physical act of eating and drinking. Do you need an aid? So for me, I do not need an aid such as like a feeding tube or anything like that. Mine for this particular question is prompting. So yes, I require prompting, and it then says, what do they do for you and how often? So I'm going to go ahead and finish off writing this question and then I'll get back to you. I will just say that the other questions, the other bits that are on this is, do you need help from another person? And please tell us why and when these needs began. So it is pretty repetitive when it comes to like, it will give you the activity, it will give you a couple of questions, and then the very last question of each section is, please tell us why and when these needs began. So for me, mine has been, because it's autism and autism is a condition that you were born with, it becomes more apparent later in life for me, but it is something that I was born with. So it's not something that I have grown into. I have maybe become more obvious as I got older, but it's not something that I have grown into or not something that I've developed. So I'm going to go ahead and finish writing out this question and then I will get back to you and we will do activity 3 together. that is my first extra sheet of paper done, so I'm going to put that over there and now write my name again on the top of the next one. I prefer not to do it double-sided, not because I don't care about the environment. Usually I would do double-sided, but when they photocopy it, I know from experience that it's easier to literally just like do one-sided. So I don't want them to miss anything as well, because if it's double-sided, they may not turn over the page to copy it. So I'm just going to make it life so much easier and just do a single-sided page. And as I said, making sure that I write my national insurance number and my full name, which is actually Deanna Louise. And then my last name. I don't have my last name on social media, so I'm not saying it. But Deanna Louise is my full, like, first and middle. So I've got to write that also in the correct way it is for my actual birth certificate, because my birth certificate, if anyone doesn't know, I do not have two E's in my name officially, but I do put it on social media because it's easier to pronounce that way. So let's go ahead and let's do the next question. So I've just done activity 2. So activity 3 is managing treatments, taking medication, and monitoring your health condition or disability. So it says this activity looks at how you manage any treatments carried out at home, taking your medication, and monitoring changes in your health condition or disability. We will also consider the help you need with timing and the type of food and drink intake. Without these, your medical condition would get worse straight away. So it also says we can consider things like taking medication as prescribed. Basically, do you take too much, too little, not enough? Do you take it at the wrong times? Do you need alarms to be able to like actually remember to take your medication? Do you require a dossier box? All that sort of stuff. It says also about opening medication packages. So I suppose if you have arthritis in your hands, do you struggle to open up the packaging? Do you require somebody to come and open the packaging for you, or push the medication out of the pill packets? It then says therapy in the home, monitoring pain levels, monitoring blood sugar levels, prescribed or recommended diet. And then it says we do not consider things like therapies out of the home or collecting medication. So this particular one does not include the walk to go and get the medication or anything like that. That I believe is later in it. That is probably underneath the like how you walk and how far you can walk and stuff. So I am now just going to turn to what I wrote. That is definitely not in the right order still, but I can still go ahead and do managing treatments. Right. So it is fairly similar to the original claim, where it does say to you, do you need to use an aid appliance to monitor your health conditions like taking your medication? So this one says, can you manage this activity safely and without any difficulty? So mine is no, because I have comments for it. So the first question for everyone when it comes to like the review is asking, do you need to write information for this particular activity? So whereas on the original form it said, do you need an aid or appliance? And it basically didn't ask you like an original, do you need to add comments? This one is, do you need to add comments? So it is slightly different, the review form. They might have changed it as well, because this was, as I said, I did this in 2020. So it may have changed, the form may have changed slightly, but as I said, I'm going by what I wrote because my memory is absolutely rubbish. So this is something I'm going to write on here as well, but it's about memory. So the things that I would include in this, so this again goes through aid, prompting, help from another person, and then please tell us why and when they began. So for this, I would write, as I previously said about alarms, do you require prompting from another person? I would say, do your members take your medication all the time? Like write that down as well, whether your members take it all the time or not. Do you require alarms? I might have said these things a couple of times as well. Do you remember to take the right amount of medication? Do you ever take too much medication? Do you ever take not enough medication? I would also, obviously they have also extra bits, and it's about opening medication packaging. So if you struggle with arthritis, or if you struggle with another condition where it affects mobility in your hands or your pain, are you ever not able to open up your own medication packaging? Do you require somebody to come and give you medication? Like, obviously not all of this is applicable to me, but I'm just giving examples for any of you who may be writing that and filling out this form with me, because this is going to be a bit of a fill out the form with me. So if you are filling out this form with me, then these are things that I would suggest / like these are prompts for what you could write. So I'm going to go ahead and write my form out. If you want to go ahead and write your question out for number 3, then we can go ahead and do that together. Okay, so I have now finished activity 3, so let's go ahead and move on to activity 4. So activity 4 is washing and bathing. Now this is like having a shower, going to toilet. No, not going to toilet. It's just washing and bathing. So it is literally just washing your body, limbs, face, underarms and hair using a standard bath or shower. If you're unable to hear a standard fire alarm without hearing aids, they do not consider things like shaving, cleaning teeth or cutting toenails. So for me, that is annoying because cleaning teeth is a big issue for me with my neurodivergency. Like I really, really struggle to clean my teeth. So I don't know if that actually goes in any of the other... Does that go in any of the other ones? It doesn't say anything about that in any of those. Let me just have a quick little look. That's reading, understanding, mixing with other people, purchasing, planning a route, moving around, further information. So no, that is going to have to go in further information. So I might actually write that down on another piece of paper, maybe on the very, very back page of this. I'm going to write on brushing teeth as like an extra, which I recommend if you ever go through this form and you realise that there is something under a section that is not considered but you think it's important to mention, write it down so that you can then include it in the further information. So I'm going to put the title here as extras to mention. And then, I'm basically going to put in brushing teeth as one of my things. I'm also going to say getting medication delivered, because I get my medication delivered to my house and there is a reason for that. So I get it delivered for the sole reason that I would struggle to get to the pharmacy. I'd forget to go to the pharmacy, like all that sort of stuff. So I get it delivered because it is ease, and it also means that I have no excuse. I basically have to order my medication, which I do forget, but I get various reminders on this particular app that I use, and they will remind you, I think, 4 times before they stop reminding you. So like 4 times is a lot, and you get it in email and you get it as a notification on your phone as well. So there is, it doesn't take that long to order either. You literally order it, they then request a prescription from your doctors, and then they sort it all out and send it to your house. So it's perfect. I will leave the link to the company in the description box down below if you're interested, because I use a certain brand and I use Pharmacy to You. I have never had any issues with Pharmacy to You. There's been once when they've not had the medication, but they have managed to get it out to me like fairly quick, and they've also kept me updated when it comes to like, we think your medication is going to be in stock in this day, are you okay? Like also giving suggestions as to like asking your doctor to prescribe it at like a lower dose but more tablets, all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and do the showering one, which is the like how you get in an actual shower and how you like wash and bathe. So activity 4 is washing and bathing. It says this activity looks at how your health condition or disability affects how you wash and bathe. If you do not have a bath at home, still tell us how you would use one. For example, getting in and out of a bath. We can consider things like washing your body, limbs, face, underarms and hair, using a standard bath or shower if you are unable to hear a standard fire alarm without hearing aids. So like if you have to take your hearing aids out for a shower, if you cannot hear the fire alarm, a standard fire alarm without hearing aids, then like that would be included. We do not consider shaving, cleaning teeth or cutting toenails. So this also does go into prompting, so just do not forget to write about the prompting side of things. This does actually say, do you need prompting? And then do you need reminding, encouraging or explaining by another person? So can you manage this activity safely and without any difficulty? Well, I need prompting, so it's a no. Right, I'm going to go ahead and write all of my things in, and I'll get back to you once I've finished writing this in. I've been recording for like 25 minutes, so I'm glad I'm speeding some of these bits up. Let's go ahead and do activity 4 together. Right, so I have done my activity 5 and I've had to use extra paper. I am currently on my 3rd extra page. So that is just kind of giving you a bit of a insight as to how much writing I've been doing. I've been doing the writing on the form, which they don't actually give you that much space. I've been doing that writing on the form, plus I've written nearly 3 pages, or 2.5 pages of extra page. But because it's all capitals, it's so much bigger than it would be if I was writing like in my normal handwriting. Anyway, activity 6 is dressing and undressing. So this activity looks at how your health condition or disability affects how you manage to put on and take off clothing. We can consider things like dressing both your upper and lower body and selecting appropriate clothes to wear each day. So for me, I struggle with like matching clothes and stuff like that. And that is down to my autism, not knowing kind of what matches. Styles is obviously not something they can include. But for me, I struggle with the appropriateness of clothing. So knowing, like most people didn't know this for ages until I was speaking to one of my friends, and she said, yeah, I look at the weather and then I decide what I'm going to wear based on the weather. I never do that. I always forget to check the weather, and then I walk outside and I'm like, oh darn it, like I'm wearing like thin leggings and it's freezing outside. So that is one thing that like I really do struggle with. I struggle with matching my clothing to the weather. I would say that I don't dress for the weather. I just dress with the same sort of idea in mind. Like, this is kind of like my clothing every single day: a pair of sports leggings and a top that kind of matches the sports leggings. So as you can see, I've got a light grey top on with like the pink flower on it today. Well, not the pink flower, but pink and like a rose on it. I've got grey leggings on to match, a different colour grey, but like a dark grey and a light grey. So that's kind of what's going on today. And this is usually the sort of clothing I will wear, is simply just leggings with a top that kind of goes there, and a hoodie usually, or like a jumper that goes the same sort of colour with the leggings or something like that. That is literally the only real thing that I will do, which is so annoying because I wish that I knew how to match things for styles and match things for like the weather and stuff, because it is so annoying when I walk out the house and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it is chucking it down with rain. And for that reason, I always take a backpack, and that backpack has always got extra medication, it has always got an umbrella, it has always got wipes, it has always got a little emergency sanitary pack. And I am going to do a what's in my work bag, like autistic work bag. I will be doing that on this channel soon. It's one of my ideas to do. So yeah, leave a thumbs up if you would like to see that video, or leave a thumbs up in general, because thumbs up, thumbs down, doesn't matter what you leave, just a thumbs will help this video be pushed out, so it doesn't matter whether it's a thumbs up or thumbs down. Also, please don't forget to comment if you are finding this video helpful so far, or if you have any other advice, because sometimes when I make these videos, people can leave advice in the comment section down below, and that can help other people. So if you've got any additional things that you want to add for any of these questions or any of these parts of this video, then please do leave it down below, because it is important that there is other viewpoints and other suggestions for these. So let's go ahead and move on to activity 6. Okay, so obviously, again, same sort of format is the can you do this, aid, prompting, another person, and please tell us when it began. So I'm going to fill this out. I'm going to speed this clip up as I've been doing with the rest of them, because otherwise this video is going to be like 400 hours long, and I don't think you'd want that. So let's go ahead and do this together. after a quick drink and toilet break. I have been filming for a long time, and at the end of this video I will put the total film time, because I'm speeding bits up. I will put the total filming unedited footage time so that you guys can kind of get a realistic look on how long it has taken me to actually fill out this form. And I'm not saying it should take me a really short time. It shouldn't just be a tick box thing. You should have to explain yourself and you should have to put all this stuff in. But I think that for some people who don't claim PIP, or that are looking at claiming PIP as a way of not working, because PIP is not a not working thing. Like, if you are entitled to PIP, it is something to support you to either stay in work, because for me, I work a part-time job, but it is something that supports me in order to do that. However, some people think that getting PIP is quite easy, and it's not. So I'm gonna just put one aspect of it at the end of this video and put in exactly how long it took me to film this video, because I sat and talked to you for a little bit, but the majority of that would have been spent actually sitting writing. So let's go ahead and get on to activity 7. So activity 7 is speaking to people, hearing and understanding what they say and being understood. So this activity looks at how your health condition or disability affects how you manage hearing and speaking. We can consider things like prescribed hearing aids and sign language. We do not consider things like understanding a language other than your native language. This one again is basically the same, and it says, can you manage this activity safely and without difficulty, yes or no? And then it says, do you need an aid? Do you need supporting? Do you need help from another person? And please tell us why and when these things began. So I'm going to go ahead and fill my one in. You can go ahead and fill yours in for activity 7, and I'm going to speed this up so it doesn't take as long as it actually is taking me in real time. Okay, so I have done my activity 7. Let's go ahead, and I didn't have a lot to write for activity 7, so it was quite short, this one. But yeah, I am going to go ahead and write for activity 8. So activity 8, sorry, I didn't really put a lot of information in activity 7. But obviously activity 7 does go ahead and say about prescribed hearing aids and sign language. I have also brought my autism into it, and I brought briefly about socialisation, but that is another category as well. But I've brought about socialisation in, and I've also brought in, for my particular scenario, being autistic means that I don't always understand what is being said or an instruction that is being given. So therefore, I sometimes will require a friend or a family member or somebody around me to explain something in another way or in a deeper way or something like that to be able to understand it. So I have basically put that as my reasoning. However, obviously if that doesn't apply to you, don't take this. But if you're autistic, then that might be a way that you can write it if it does apply to you. So the next activity is activity 8, which is reading and understanding signs, symbols and written words. This activity looks at how your health condition or disability affects how you manage to read and understand either written or printed information in your native language. We can consider things like reading and understanding an important letter or text message. We do not consider things like understanding a language other than your native language. So again, it goes into the whole, do you need an aid? Do you need prompting? Do you need help from another person? Please tell us why and when these began. So I'm going to go ahead and do mine. You go ahead and do yours, and we shall reconvene, as I like to say. That's a really lovely word. I do like the word reconvene. We will reconvene when we are moving on to activity 9, which is the one, like activity 9 to the end is kind of like where I put the most things and have the most advice on, because it is things like socializing, mixing with other people, and like making decisions about money and all that sort of stuff, which can be very difficult for an autistic. So, and it is for me. So I will just go ahead and like, I'll have lots of information for that, but let's go ahead and do activity 8, which is about reading and understanding signs and written symbols. Okay, we are back for activity 9. So activity 9 is mixing with other people. So this activity looks at how your health condition or disability affects how you manage to engage with other people face to face during everyday activities, for example, shop assistants, bus drivers, doctors, friends, and family. We can consider things like if you avoid face to face contact, understanding body language, establishing relationships. We cannot consider things like preferring not to mix. So they can like take into consideration the issues you struggle when you do mix and when you do go and socialise, but they can't consider the fact that you will avoid socialising due to something, which kind of seems a bit out of the point. But so yeah, basically it goes through and says about, do you need help from another person? For example, reminding, encouraging, explaining by another person or someone to keep you calm. Tell us even if you do not get the help that you need. So this actually is slightly different to the rest of the questions. It does give a bit more information in terms of like what you can write for each of the little things. Whereas before it was kind of like, tell us who helps you, tell us who prompts you, da 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 da. This little bit is basically a lot more like little bits of information written underneath. So this one is like, it says about the whole like, do you need help from another person? And then it says about like, what do they do for you, and how often do they support you? Do they need to be with you, or do they need to help you at some other time? So for this one, I would say it's particularly important. Mental health conditions, obviously you can't talk about the fact that you avoid socializing, but you can talk about whether when you do go out, does it give you anxiety? Does it mean that post socializing you become anxious or depressed? Does it mean that you will socialize once a week but feel unable to socialize for the rest of the week or for another couple of weeks? Does socializing mean that you rehearse things, or do you like plan out like from like literally with a fine-tooth comb? Do you plan out every single step, or do you rehearse different conversations that you may or may not have with another person? Do you require to go through a social interaction prior to doing the social interaction? For example, if you have to get a bus for the first time, or get a bus and it always provides you anxiety and it's a different area or something like that, do you require to go through with somebody and say, how do I ask for a ticket on the bus, for example? How can I get a ticket? How can I, is it cash or is it card? Do I have to do this? Do you require to plan things with like a fine tooth comb? Do you require the aid of somebody else to go with you to buy this ticket? Do you, all these sorts of things. There's lots of different things you could add, but they actually have put in here the fact that you cannot say about preferring not to mix, which before I believe you could mention it on some of the forms, whereas now apparently you can't. So let's go ahead and do this one, and I will write mine down, and then I will basically come back and talk to you about any other bits that I feel are important to add at the end. I've actually got cramping in my hands that I've been writing for so long. I have done 1, 2, 3, 4 extra pages, like 4 extra sides of A4, plus whatever's in the book, and I'm still not finished. I'm on my 5th side of A4. So my hand is actually cramping like all the way along my hands here because of the way I hold the pen. So yeah, and I'm fully expecting this pen to run out, which is disappointing because it's Your Feelings Are Valid pen, and I like my quotation pens. I've actually got loads of them, and they're in a little pop beside my bed, and they are so good because each one says a different thing. I've got some which are like mental health, some which are neurodivergency ones, some which are just like inspirational. So highly recommend it. I will leave some links. I believe I got them from TikTok Shop or Shein, so I will leave some links to ones because I do like them. They're basic pens. They are actually a really soft material on the outside, like as far as pens go, and they're really nice to hold, like for general writing, but it's just because there's so much writing in this form that my hands are cramping, and they would have cramped anyway with any sort of pen, but I find they're a good width as well. Like the actual pen is a good width. It's not too thin, it's not too thick, it's quite good. But yeah, I need to finish this and my hand is cramping, so I'm gonna go and have a 5-minute break, grab a little snack, and then I'm going to come back to this. So I will see you back in a minute. Well, literally a few seconds, because you'll see it, the next clip in a few seconds. Okay, so I am just going to go ahead and finish off my number what I was on. I'm on question 68 out of 80, whatever it was. So yeah, I'm still on the mixing with other people. I'm going to finish this and then we're going to come back and do number 10 together. Okay, so we are back. We're going to move on to activity 10, which is making decisions about spending and managing your money. Okay, so as I said, managing decisions about spending and managing your money. This activity looks at how your health condition or disability affects how you manage everyday purchases and transactions, such as paying in shops and restaurants, budgeting for and paying your bills. We can consider things such as managing your own bank account, making a purchase, setting up direct debits. We do not consider things like lack of income. So obviously, if you can't work, then they don't consider that because it's lack of income. But this is solely about how you take the income you do have and how you manage it, how you can budget, how you can, all that sort of stuff. So when I said I had more to say, I have a lot more to say for question 9, and then not necessarily question 10, but then 11 about following a journey and all that sort of stuff. There's quite a bit to say. So for this one, the only thing that I really require support with when it comes to managing my money is my brother will actually have usually twice a month phone calls with me, like a check-in once I've been paid and a check-in in the middle of the month, to help me to budget and make sure that I'm staying on my budgeting track, and help me to like advise me when it comes to like any big purchases and stuff like that. So yeah, that sort of thing is like my brother will help me with that. But apart from that, I don't actually receive any other sort of support. So there is very little when it comes to like when I've got to write for activity 10, but I'm going to write it all down and then I will see you back here for activity 11. Okay, so I am now moving on to activity 11, which is planning and following a route to another place. So this is slightly different because if I remember correctly, let me just double check my last one. I'm pretty sure they had different activities. They had a going out. Okay, no, they didn't. They had a going out and it said, do you need help from another person to plan and follow a route somewhere you know well? And then it said, do you need getting help somewhere that you don't know well, and does it cause anxiety or distress? Okay, so this one, it says this activity looks at how your health condition or disability affects how you manage to plan a route, leave your house, and follow the intended route. We can consider things like leaving your home, completing a journey, if you drive a car, the last time you went out of your home, and using public transport. But we do not consider things like physical restrictions to walking, availability to public transport, being near a toilet, or getting in and out of a car. So this one is solely the planning side of things. So actually, I do have my letter that states how much I got for this one, which I've been looking at intermittently when it comes to this. But it says planning and following a route. I got 0 apparently on this one. So I don't know what I put last time. So last time I put about distress, and I put about like low mood and stuff, and like not being able to go out safely and stuff like that, which is still true. However, I think I got 0. I don't know what the boundaries are in terms of the points. I know these are available online in terms of like what points what will get you what points. But to be fair, like I got 0 for this. I can go somewhere I know, but I do get severe anxiety or distress when I'm going somewhere that I don't know, and I have to plan it to a T and usually have someone with me. So I'm going to put all that down. Obviously, take what you need in terms of like information that you can find online and from this video. I'm going to do activity 11 and see you back for activity 12, which I believe might be the last one. Yes, activity 12 is the last one, and then they have section 6, which is extra information. And then after the extra information, it says the mobility scheme. If you are eligible for mobility, do you want us to share the information with the mobility scheme? because I think they can offer like reductions on a car payment or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. I don't personally know how to drive, or I don't have a full license, so it probably wouldn't help me, but they might be able to provide like discounted like driving lessons maybe because of my PIP. I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this out and see you back for activity 12. Okay, I believe I've done question 11. There's not a lot that I've been able to put because it does cause me anxiety and distress, but it's only really like it does cause anxiety, like a certain level of anxiety every single day. But the actual peak of an anxiety is only really when I'm going somewhere that I don't know or like that sort of thing. Okay, so the next one is activity 12, which is the last activity on this review, and it is moving around. It says this activity looks at how your conditional disability affects how you manage to move around physically without severe discomfort. We can consider things like lower limb physical restrictions, standing and walking safely. We do not consider things like weather conditions or uneven surfaces. To be fair, this is like the physical side of things. I don't know. Like, I don't really have an issue with like the physical walking. So I'm just going to say yes, because I don't have an issue. But I'm going to give a bit of advice when it comes to like if you are going to like put stuff for this question. So for this one, it talked about the physical side of things. This is very physical. There's very little that you can do in terms of like mental health when it comes to activity 12 and moving around. However, it does talk about like physical being able to like walk and stuff like that. So if you are doing it for a physical health condition, consider things like dizziness, consider things like lack of stability, consider things like if you have like POTS, for example, are you not able to walk unaided, or do you require someone to be with you just in case you faint or you pass out or you feel dizzy? Like consider things like that. That is the only real thing I can give on this one. Right, so the last one is further information. And it says, is there anything else we think that you... Blah, get your teeth in, Deanna. Is there anything else you think we should know about your health condition or disability? For example, any results from tests you've had. If there's not enough space, please use a separate bit of paper. Make sure to put your full name and national insurance on each sheet of paper, which I have done on my other ones anyway. So there is a whole section here. This whole thing here is like thing, and then it has section 7, which is the mobility scheme, which goes and it says the Motability scheme allows disabled people to lease a car, scooter or powered wheelchair in exchange for all or some of their PIP mobility payments. If you are eligible to join the Motability scheme, would you like us to post you information about the help they can offer? So for me, that is no, because I'm probably not going to be eligible for it anyway. So I'm on the final section, which is section 6. I am going to go ahead and speed myself up because section 6 is this the further information, anything else that I think is important to let them know. So I'm going to write all that. I'm going to fill out the beginning of the form as well because I did not do that. So I'm going to speed this up really, really fast so that you can like do this along with me. If you've got anything else to write on your form, do this, and then I'll get back to you when it comes to the actual physical putting it all together, getting all my evidence put together and getting it in the post. So let's go ahead and get our forms finished. Okay, so I am done, and I am now going to basically talk about the evidence that I'll be sending in, because this evidence has just got to be evidence that they haven't seen. So I have obviously done my PIP form, so that'll be going in, along with the 4 sheets extra paper that I had to write. Is it 4 or 5? I don't even know. 4, I think. So the 4 sheets extra, I am going to put that behind it. Then I am also going to be sending them. Let's put the old form back in its like little plastic wallet that it was in, so I know that that's out the way and that is done. There's so much paper that I've just ripped the plastic wallet. Oh dear. Never mind. Let's get it in. Wouldn't be surprised. There is like 400 million sheets in here. Right. So they need to be photocopied. And then that one is just saying what I was given. Right. So I will be sending in my a photocopy of my write-up for my autism spectrum disorder thingy. I have got that completely. I've just got to write all of my name and my national insurance number on all of those. So let's do that now, because this is actually printed from my computer because they gave me a electronic version of it. Then all I need to do is just photocopy the letters that I found regarding my joint and back pain and everything, and then I'll be all done. So I'm going to go and I'm going to do all of this, and then I'll be back to put it all in the envelope. Right, I am done. I am absolutely done. I am going to put a little thingy on screen here somewhere as to how long it actually physically took me to do that, because this is going to be a long video, but it's even longer in person. I feel like I've spent at least 3 hours doing this, so we'll find out when I put the little time code stampy thingy. But I am done. So I've got everything here, which includes the PIP form, my extra pages, and the extra evidence that I am sending them. So I am sending them a couple of letters, including my diagnosis sheet for my autism and a couple of other little things that I've had to do. The next thing you do is you grab your envelope that they have sent you, and you put it with this bit outwards, so with the free post PIP address on it, you put that basically facing outwards and making sure that your PIP form goes, yeah, so it's quite okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this, like that, maybe? Yes, like that, I think. Right, put it inside, and then I hate licking it, so I'm going to have to go and find some sellotape and sellotape it down. But that is it. You literally put it inside, make sure your free posty thing's poking through there, and then I'm going to sellotape it down and post it off tomorrow. So that is the end of this video for my PIP review claim. If you have any questions about the PIP review process and you would like to comment them down below, then feel free. I will try and answer to the best of my ability, but please remember that I'm not anyone affiliated with PIP. I am just a fellow PIP claimant who is basically trying to review her PIP claim, basically. That is literally the only reason. Please remember that when you are filling out your PIP form, do not exaggerate. Well, just put it to what your day is like and be honest, but don't be like exaggerating it too much that it becomes unbelievable or that it becomes not honest, you know? So put everything on there that is honest and is true, and obviously, you know, whatever result you get is the result you get. I am kind of nervous, I'm not going to lie, about the potential for them taking PIP away from me. I doubt it's going to get taken away, as I do claim at its current point in time, I get the higher daily living allowance. So I am fully kind of thinking it's either going to stay at the higher rate or it's going to go down to the standard daily living rate. But that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in my next one. But before I go, please don't forget that I believe in you, even if nobody else does. Bye. Just like you're young again, no, don't you cry. Just get back up again.